Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. Today I get to show you how to correct some sewing mistakes on a quilt or on any sewing project. So if you want to learn how to use a seam ripper, please stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a lot of filming for this video in my upstairs. This is like my dining room area, and it used to be where I did my sewing. But I moved my sewing machine and all the big stuff downstairs. Up here, there's just like the little stuff, so like some scraps, but I do have my fabric up here, and my storage system of shoe boxes is up here as well. But the reason that we're filming here is because this is where I've laid out my Heartstrings quilt. This is a quilt that I've been working on for the past few weeks. I made some string blocks, I made half square triangles out of denim, and I started to put everything together. And the reason that it's up here is because I can't lay it out downstairs because there's not good floor space down there yet. I gotta figure all that out. So anyway, the reason that I'm making this video is because I found out that I'm good at a lot of things, but then I still make mistakes from time to time, just like everybody else. So today, it's about a mistake that I've made while I was putting together this Heartstrings quilt. And so I want to show you what I'm going to do about it, and we'll get to go over how to use the seam ripper. And like I said in a previous video, most of us we know how to use a seam ripper because unfortunately we've had to rip out a few stitches here and there, but it's a good tool to have because it's quick, it's easy, and you can finish what you were working on and just fix it right quick and get on with your sewing. So let's come down to the quilt and I'll show you what I need to fix right quick. So I have the quilt on the floor here, and so let's see. I've been working on, I've sewn rows 1 through 8 now, and then rows 11 and 12. They're down here at the bottom. And so I have 2 more rows to stitch, but my problem area is right here. And I'm going to show you, move the camera just a little bit. I'm going to show you what's wrong with it. And actually, I think this is the best way to do that. So here's what I have. I have for my string blocks, I have them turned a certain way to get a specific design. And so what I'll point it out to you here, and maybe I'll insert a picture as well so that you can see it. So this is the center heart. It's made of the light strings. And what I've figured out is just kind of a little X's and O's pattern. So every 4 blocks creates a part of this pattern. All right, so if I start here, well, I'm trying to think what the best way is to describe it. So I think it's easier to think about it in terms of diamonds because I was like, as I was putting it together, I wanted something that would have a cohesive sort of feel. And so I worked to create some diamonds. So let me show you here where the diamonds are. So in these first 2 rows, there are 2 diamonds. One here and one here. Wait, yeah. So here's one, and then here's one. This is only sort of one. This was not quite right because of the way this half square triangle ended up. And all of these that go where the strings go to the right like this, they're not quite right. But I'm going to count this as a diamond just for the sake of the video. So here's one, here's one. Okay, on these 2 rows, there are 3 diamonds. So here's one right here, and 2, and 3. Now so what it is that this row, so like row 1 and row 2, they make diamonds, then row 2 and 3 make diamonds, and then it should be rows 3 and 4 that make a diamond again. So let me show you where they should be, okay? So they should be, this should be a diamond, and this should be a diamond. And right here, I think would be a good idea for me to put a picture of the quilt when I laid it out, and I will circle where these diamonds should be. I think I'm going to do that here in the video so that you can see it. And now I'm going to explain what I did wrong, because you probably can tell that these two blocks, these right here, are actually turned the wrong way. So they should be opposite these. So these sort of make a V. Hopefully you can see that there. And these should be opposite. So the V should be upside down. Okay? And so that's what's going to make this diamond and this diamond. And then once I turn them the right way, we should have like partial diamond here and partial, or no, we shouldn't. There should be something right here. I think it should be an X right here. Well, no, that's already an X. I don't know what it's, I don't know. But you'll see it in just a minute, hopefully. Okay, so the row that I messed up is row 8 or row 7, which is right here. And so now I have to fix these. I have to take these apart and stitch them back together the correct way. All right, so here is where we talk about the seam ripper. I'm gonna go get it and hold it up close to the camera so that we can take a look at it together. Then we'll take these blocks apart and see how to use that to put them back together. I want to show you the seam ripper up close. It actually, when it's in the case, it looks like this. And mine happens to be blue. I got my seam ripper in a sewing kit, you know, like a beginner's sewing kit or just a sewing fundamentals kit, but you can buy these separately. And this is like the basic model 1A or something like that. But you can get other seam rippers that are a little larger, a little smaller, whatever. Okay, so it does come with this lid, and I usually put the lid here. It helps to get a little longer handle, and also you don't lose the lid. And you don't want to lose the lid because this little tip here is pretty sharp. So what you see is that there is a sharp tip on this, and it's a little bit longer. Okay, so this is what you're going to use to guide through your thread. And then there's this other side, not really sure why it has that little piece on it, but mine always have that little piece on it, and I've never taken it off. So you know, just to give you kind of an idea of what the seam ripper looks like. And what this allows us to do is take apart the thread that is holding that seam together so that we can take that thread out and then restitch where we're supposed to. So let's see what that looks like in practice. I'm gonna let you look over my shoulder while I work on my seam ripping here. It's not hard. I chose to come over to the table just so that the work will be a little bit closer to me. And I've already put a pin in the 3 places where I know I'm going to have to take the seams out. And I'm going to use pinning a little bit later to help me when I put everything back together. So I'm going to just start with this seam, since that's where the pin is next to this seam. I'm going to flip it back. And this procedure is pretty much the same for all of our seam ripping. I hope you can see this. I'm just going to take my seam ripper here, and that pointy end that I told you about earlier, I'm going to take it, and that's going to go like through the thread, and I just drag it. You just drag it up, and that little sharp part right in the center will clip the threads. And I'm just going to do that about every 3 stitches. So I've used the paper as my backing for my string blocks, and so that's why you see paper here. This process is not difficult, as I said, and I'm just doing about every 3rd stitch, just taking the thread out. I'm just clipping that thread, and then I'll show you the next step. And this could be done a lot of different ways. Some people do this on both sides. I typically don't, usually because I'm in a hurry and I don't feel like it. So I'm going to just do this last one. And then if you do every 3 stitches, then it should, I think it's gonna just pull apart. So let's see. Yeah, so And then what you could do, some people, like I said, do it on both sides, but I usually just take the thread, just pick it up, and like you can kind of drag it through the stitches. Now for this one, I've already taken out, I'll just do a little stitch here. So this is typically what I do. I like pull it until it won't pull anymore, and then I'll just do that one stitch. And I'm not sure if this is best practices. It's probably best practices to do every third stitch on both sides. So I'm kind of doing that now. But like it's coming up, I don't need to do that, really. And I already took the paper out of the seam allowance because the seam allowance was going the opposite way. So I already took the paper out of that one. So let me see. Again, probably not best practices the way I normally do it, but it's just giving you an idea of a way to do it. So, and then I'm just gonna see if I can pull it apart. There we go. And sometimes as I'm pulling it apart, I'll just do that little seam in the middle. Okay, now there are some extra threads in here. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull them up with my finger. I do have some painter's tape, and I've seen where you can take painter's tape and just pull it out of the way, and it's pretty simple to do that way too. But I don't have my painter's tape with me, so I'm just gonna pull it out this way. And you wanna try to get the threads out of both sides of the stitch. So here's one side, and then here's the other side. And for this one, since it has the paper, you know, I may want to go back over it with the masking tape, but I don't think I am. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of move this over to the side for now because I have two more to do. You can see the pin here and here. So I'm gonna take out these two stitches, and then I'm gonna come back and show you what's next. I have all of the seams ripped here, and I went to the iron and pressed where the stitch lines were to kind of make the dots disappear, you know, the little holes where the stitches were, make them disappear. I've seen that done, and sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. So, you know, pick whichever you like the best. And I went ahead and put them back in the exact position that they were in so that you can see, hopefully you can see when it changes, how it changes the design. All right, so these are the two offending blocks. And so I'm just gonna give them a quarter turn so that they face the correct way. So this one is going to turn this way. And then this one, same thing, quarter turn. And I could go this way, but then that's the same fabric, so I don't want to do that. So I'll go the other way. So now our little V is upside down, and I think that's what we want. Now I want to point out something to you. These are the diamonds. So here's one, and here's one. I'm just pointing this out for your information. This block and this block do not match the diamond, but once it's sewn together, I feel like it kind of tricks my brain into thinking that it's a diamond because these three go together. So, you know, I don't know what you think about it, but to me it kind of tricks it, and I'm okay with that. And then the same thing here, these the stripes in this half square triangle and this block, they go the same way, but that doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't bother me. And the same for this one. And it's just because of the way the half square triangles ended up. Since I stitched across the seams instead of with the seams, some of the blocks got turned in a different way. That is perfectly fine with me. But I just wanted these two to be what I considered right. But keep in mind, I didn't have to change it if I didn't want to. I could have kept it the way it was. And the same with your quilt. If you make a mistake and, you know, and you're okay with the way it looks, that's fine. Usually I would not take this out, especially on a scrap quilt like this one. I just felt like I wanted to this time because I wanted the diamonds to show out wherever they could. Okay, now I had some pins I'm gonna grab my pins because I'm actually gonna use pinning to help me stitch the right way. So I'm gonna start by stitching these two back together. And this time it's gonna be where there are no stitches because I turned the stitch lines to the top and bottom once I turn the block. Okay, but I wanna grab a pin. I thought I had one over here, but I'm gonna flip this one over this one, and I'm gonna put a pin right here, and then I'm gonna go downstairs and stitch everything together. So I will be right back. I already feel a little better with these two sewn the right way. So now I'm just gonna flip the right side over to this one and stitch, then the left side, or then the whole block over to that side, and then stitch, actually I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna flip these over to this one, and then I'll flip the right over to all 6 of these, stitch everything together, and we'll see what it looks like. I have the completed row here. Hopefully you can see the sword of diamond on the left there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more here. Hopefully you can see that sword of diamond on your left and the sword of diamond on your right. Those half square triangle blocks, they clearly don't match, but hopefully your eye can be kind of tricked into seeing it the correct way. I'm really happy with it. I can definitely live with this better than I was coping with it the other way, with the block in what I consider the wrong way. So I'm really happy that I could do it, and all it took was a little time and care with my seam ripper to go in and fix those stitches. I hope that you've enjoyed this process of repairing a little part that I messed up in my Heartstrings quilt, and that you've seen how easy it is to use the seam ripper to correct a mistake, and that really is not a big deal. You know, we all make mistakes in our sewing and quilting, so it's just nice to have an easy way to get those things fixed. And as long as you take some time and care with your stitches, it should be fine, and you shouldn't have any major effects on your project. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!